Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on which part of the world you're joining us on from today. Today on Let's Get Real, we're here, remember, to educate you, to inspire you, and most importantly, to help you grow. Because that's what life is all about for all of us, is to keep on growing. And Nicole, how are you doing? Welcome today on this beautiful Wednesday.
Isn't it gorgeous? I know it's spring has sprung, at least in South Carolina. It's starting to get warm. I'm starting to feel that little bit of humidity kind of creep in, which I'm not looking forward to, but you know, it is what it is. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, this is literally the last Wednesday of April.
I know.
The month has flown by and then, you know, we're straight into summer. So everything's going too fast, I would say. It's just like I wake up at the beginning and then I close my eyes and I'm at the end of the month and I'm just like, what did I do? Did I do enough? Do I need to do more? What did I miss? So
why do we question ourselves so much about that? Isn't that true? Here's the thing that I've been watching lately with a lot of people is, are you having fun? Because we're doers. That's what all of us, a lot of us women, I'd say majority of women, we're all doers. But are we having enough fun in our lives? Life is going by so fast. It's about having fun, isn't it?
It really is. And I have to say that it probably in the last, let's see, how long have I been divorced? Since about the last 5 years, I've probably had more fun in my life than when I was single. But I spend a lot of times with my kids. I mean, you know, we've had so much fun traveling, and it doesn't have to be across the water, across the pond. Literally in my home state of Arizona, we would just take time and find little out of the way places. And I did that on purpose because I knew, you know, they were coming up on graduations. I knew they were coming up on moving, and I just wanted to spend time with them, very carefree. And like you said, having fun. And that's what I did. And looking back, I wouldn't have done it any differently.
I know. And today we have a woman who's joining us today who believes in the same things that we're talking about, because recently she actually took a huge trip and she took it with her son. And, you know, so we'll hear about little things like that because she's a mom, she's an entrepreneur. She's a woman that I idolize. I think she is an incredible woman. I look up to her because she mentors me as well, but she has nothing but kindness in her heart and a lot of knowledge in her head. She's gone through a lot of things. Her name is Arfa Saira Iqbal, and I hope I pronounced it right. I just know her mostly as Arfa. And let me tell you just a little bit, because I don't want to waste any more time because she's got so much to share with us. She's classically trained in direct response. Arfa is a direct response copywriter, digital marketer, author of the best-selling book, Mind Hack Marketing, which I own a copy, gratefully so. And how it's all about how to turn your customer psychology into breakthrough sales. She specializes in creating sales funnels, pre-selling mastery skills, which hinge heavily on being able to understand how customers think. Arfa has over 13 years of experience working with countless businesses in a range of industries across the world, including really expert influencers and big name brands. So without any further ado, let's bring Arfa out. Hi, Arfa. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Glenda. It's so great to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, and I am so thrilled to have you. This has been long waiting, and yes. I welcome you and thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. I've been honestly dying to get on this podcast with you. I know we've been talking about it for ages, but we finally done it, right?
Right, and that's all that matters. So let's start with, I know you are an expert in your writing skills. I've seen your work. I watch you. I read all your writings because you have that magic pen. But it didn't just start there. And I know where you are now, working with 9-figure entrepreneurs and just rocking it with them, because I know some of the people that you are coaching and writing for.
Yeah.
But it started from a lot of different other things that have gone on in your life. And I know you are a mom. Share with us some of the things that you have already gone through before you got to this, because, part of our broadcast here is to inspire people, because, none of us get to where we are. We have to go through our journey.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love what you said there. It's like, I always feel that success is a journey more than anything else. And I think everyone's kind of like in their own lane. But if I would say like what made me start out, it was, believe it or not, it was a bad marriage of all things, right? It's never comfortable to talk about, but like I was in not a great relationship. It was not serving me in any way. We both wanted very different things in life, and it was rather traumatic actually. So I have 2 boys. They're all grown up now, but at the time, my youngest was about 10 months old when my marriage fell apart, and my eldest was around about I think he was 5 at the time, so he was about to turn 6 kind of thing. And I was like, what do I do? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Now, my background, I had a degree in IT, and I worked corporate for like 3 years. I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers, one of the biggest sort of professional services companies in the world. And I was there for like 3 years. And then after that, I basically stayed at home to look after my, he's now, I can't believe sometimes, like he's 19 now, like what the heck, right? Where did the time go? But at the time when he was a baby, I stayed at home. I was a stay-at-home mom for about 3 years. And then when he was old enough to get into nursery and whatnot, I was like, okay, let's get out there and let's start working, because I'm just so done with being at home. And then I started working in a school, and I was there for 3 years, and then I left to have my youngest. And after that, everything kind of like went downhill, and I was like, oh God, like, what do I do? And truthfully, to tell you the truth, I had no idea what I was going to do, like literally no idea. I was like, I can't go back to work, because that would mean leaving my baby in a nursery setting. And I was not happy to do that. I just did not want to do that. I wanted to raise him myself. And then there was the thing was like, I can't go back to the corporate world, because that just kills you. It's like, that's really fast paced. And like by that time, my skill set had completely just changed altogether. So it's like the skills had moved on, and I was like, I don't know what to do. So it had to be something that I had to do from home. And also like, because I wanted to be at home more for the kids. Which is, obviously as a parent, and especially when you're on your own, that's a very hard thing to do. Like, you want to try and be there as much as you can for your kids. And so I remember getting on one of these like really shady work from home websites. I was like laughing about it now, but for anyone who's thinking of trying them, like, don't, like, they're awful. My first ever gig was paying, I can't even remember now. It's something like 15p for a 500-word article. And I was like...
Now, what is 15p in like US dollars?
Oh, in US dollars, it's something like 20 cents.
Okay.
25 cents, something like that. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
I know. But the problem is that my confidence was so like they literally, it had gone through the floor. Like, I'd gone through so much, like I had zero confidence, and my self-esteem was just like completely crushed. And I was like, okay, this is about as far as I can go with this. And my sister was horrified. Like, I remember like 3 days of like constant typing, and my arms had literally just like, I had severe pain in my elbows. And she was like, what the heck are you doing? Like, if you want to leave, like, you're not going to be able to leave like that. Like, what are you going to leave with? Brass buttons? Like, you need a plan. You need something that's going to make you some proper money. And it was her suggestion to start working for local businesses. And oh my God, I'm telling you, that was, for me, that was like, it was like the light bulb went off. I was like, yeah, why am I wasting my time on, on these like shady sites when I could actually be working with actual businesses, right? And so that's where I started. And so my first official gig was writing a press release. And I think I got paid like £10 at the time, which is about, it's like $12, $15. I was so excited. I mean, it doesn't sound like life-changing amount of money, but believe you me.
No, but it is.
Yeah, but it wasn't just that. I think it was you know what it was, Glenda? It was more the fact that I'd proved to myself that I could actually do it. Like I proved to myself that I can make money while being at home. I think that was the main thing that I was trying to, like, you know, have a skill set that you can then go and leverage. And so that's where the journey started. And I started doing a little bit of digging, and I found like this website that was talking all about, you know, how to do writing, how to like get a you know, website up there. So I went and cobbled together a website. You know, I'm going to be completely honest, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I was just like, I'm just making this up as I'm going along. And I got onto one of these, I mean, it's changed now. So it used to be Elance at the time, but at the time, so Elance at the time, now it's Upwork. And I remember posting up for a gig on there, and I got this like amazing 2 or 3 gigs. They were really good. And I was like, and they paid me really well. And I was like, oh, this is really amazing. But I hadn't yet mastered how to get clients consistently. Right. So the problem that I had was that I would have some months where the money was good and other months where it was terrible. So, oh God, this is not really helping. But then I thought to myself, look, if I'm really gonna leave and I've got 2 children to take care of, I have to have more than enough income to be able to take care of the 3 of us without really being in a lot of difficulty. Like that was the whole point, right? Like,
right. And being there for your kids at the same time.
Yeah, I'm being there for my children at the same time. So I don't know how on earth I stumbled across doing some internet searches, and I stumbled across something called the Warrior Forum. And there I read something about like copywriting, and I was like, what the heck is copywriting? And embarrassingly so, I thought it was this thing that you do to basically protect the intellectual property that you've created. That's what I thought copyright was, right? And I was like, that's something else, right? And I was like, okay, let's go find some courses. So I found some courses online, how to do like copywriting and whatnot, and how to get into it. And then I thought I was pretty good at it. And actually, no, I wasn't. I was terrible. I'm going to be completely honest. I was just terrible. But it was enough to get me by. And it was enough to get me gigs on places like, you know, at the time, Elance, right? But then I came across a listing on the Warrior Forum. And I specifically mentioned that forum because I'm not kidding. If it hadn't been for me finding that forum, I don't think I'd be where I am today, right? That literally set the trajectory for where I am now. Right. So I met my coach there. Paul Hancock's is his name, and he mentored me one-on-one. He's he's an A-list copywriter himself, and he mentored me one-on-one for an entire year. And he was like, right, let's get you now start getting some clients. And you know what the interesting thing was, is to start that, to basically hire him as my coach. I didn't even have the money, and I had to go borrow it from my sister-in-law. So God bless her soul. Yeah. God bless her soul. She was she's so amazing. She's really amazing woman. She's still an amazing woman, you know. But I think the main thing is that she helped me when I was like really stuck between a rock and a hard place, and allowed me to be able to, you know, really get onto my own 2 feet. And then within 3 months, I started making enough money that I was able to pay her back, which was fantastic, you know. And then I started getting a ton of gigs on Warrior Forum. So actually the bulk of my income came from this one forum, right? And I made more than enough money. I mean, I remember at the time, it was like, I couldn't even believe myself, like how much money I was able to make. I was like, whoa, this is amazing, right? And so that's basically what really got me on the path to doing what I'm doing now. And I, like 18 months later, I was able to leave my husband, and the rest is, as they say, is history. So yeah, I mean, it's not been plain sailing by any stretch of the imagination. So there were a lot of, you know, difficulties along the way. I remember when I physically left him, and you're gonna laugh so much, I actually moved into the house opposite. I'm like, I couldn't get very far. So I was literally there for about a year, and then we weren't able to reconcile. So then I ended up moving back to my hometown and moved into a flat there. And the flat was not in very good condition. And I really did struggle because, again, it was the, you know, good months, bad months, you know, and not really having sorted out how to get the clients properly. But also I didn't have that much confidence in my own ability as well. So while I was getting, some months I'd have like amazing gigs, but the rest of the months it was like, what the heck's going on, you know? And I'd feel like I was kind of like all over the place. And then what was really interesting was my then brother-in-law, he's the one that actually brought me on. And he had no idea what I did, but he knew that I was good at writing. That's all he knew. Like, he had no idea about my background. And essentially he just said to me, oh, why don't you come and work with us? And that's like, so the company that I was working with at the time, Pure Matrimony. And I basically started off volunteering. And when I was volunteering, like, he was like, you're really good. Like, we should get you up to like blog manager. Let's get you on blog manager and let's get you paid. Right. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like really cool. So then I had some consistent income coming in every month. And then when he got headhunted to go like work elsewhere, he said to me, I think you would be the perfect fit to actually take my place as project manager. And I was like really stressed out. I was like, oh my God, I've never project managed anything in my life. Like, how the heck am I going to do this? But I had the skill set that they were looking for. I think to be honest, he was quite shocked when he saw my resume and he saw like all the different skills that I had. It was like, I had no idea. Like, we were looking for somebody like you for years actually. And I can't believe that you were right under our nose all this time. So you know what, that's kind of like where it started from. So I did 5 years as a project manager with Pure Matrimony, and thankfully I was able to move house. I was able to move into a better place, and everything just kind of like improved from there on in, you know. But over the years, I've kind of picked up the most incredible clients. Like, a lot of my clients are A-list celebrities in the expert world. So like really notable experts. Shakir Stain, obviously we are both on the program with him, so I do the coaching and whatnot. And Marissa Peer is a client. You know, I have so many fantastic clients. And it's just incredible. You know, I get to work with these amazing influencers and huge brands, like, you know, businesses that are doing 7-8 figures, and they bring me in either on a consulting level, or I'm working on entire campaigns. So like these really massive campaigns that you see with these like huge webinars and all these amazing ads and all these like fantastic sales pages, that's the kind of stuff that I do, right? And I absolutely love it. I love it when I write something and they put it into action and we start making money. Oh my God, it's like magic. It's so great. I love it.
Arfa, I have a question for you, because I was like you, when you say copywriting, I thought it was to, you know, to make sure that proprietary information.
That's what I thought.
What is copywriting?
It's salesmanship in print or digital, right? So it's basically the ability to use the right words and the right strategies to basically make money. That's it, right?
Oh.
It's like a social currency. It's the words that you use to sell. And that's probably the easiest way to understand it. So every time you see an advert on television, every time you read a sales page, every time you pick up something that looks like it's selling something, somebody like myself will have written it. That's basically what it is.
Thank you. Because I'm like, well, what is it if it's not that? So that does make a lot of sense, but I had no idea. So thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
So, you know, you didn't give yourself enough credit, because I know you said, first of all, that you had no confidence in yourself. But here's the thing, and I understand, I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years. So by the time I had to go back to work, it was like, I didn't know what I was going to do with myself.
Water. Yeah,
totally. You know, and computers, by the time I was just leaving my job in corporate Canada, computers were just starting to come in. Like, I sound like I'm a dinosaur, but you know, it was a different time, right? Like, when I used to do my work, I manually did everything. And at that time, so computers had come in, and I had no idea. But, you know, you're talking about the fact that you had no confidence, but you had at least the confidence. And you know, part of this show is it's showing people how they can reinvent themselves and move forward in their life and not stay stuck in a relationship or a job or something that's telling them, because, you know, somebody's saying this to you that you can't do it, or you're feeling because maybe, you know, you've been in a relationship where somebody has been sort of depleting you, and you know, you're you know, feeling like, and I understand that's how I felt. You know, I was in a relationship where, you know, once I stopped working, I had no worth anymore. And I, you know, took that really in, and it destroyed me. So there, at least you had that confidence that you knew that you had to leave, right?
Yeah,
because
but I had no
not every
clue. I
woman
was
has,
like, I didn't know what I was doing.
yeah, and I understand, but not every woman or man at times
Yeah.
has that ability that they actually can leave, because we do know
That was very scary, by the way. Yeah, totally. I mean, to be honest, I had been mustering up the courage to leave for 9 years.
Wow.
That
Wow.
I know that sounds like really insane, but it's true. Like for 9 whole years, I knew, when you just know that the marriage was a mistake. Like
Hello.
I knew within weeks that this was a total disaster,
Yes.
and I kind of almost, I think there was a lot. There was societal pressure as well. There was a lot. There was so much going on. But to be honest, I mean, my dad, bless him, I love my dad so much. He's just the most wonderful man ever. He just one day just sat me down and he said, "Sweetheart, if you're unhappy, life is too short. And I don't want you to be unhappy. I want you to be happy. And I can see how much this is eating you up. You have got my full blessings if you want to leave." Oh my God. I wish my dad had said that to me right at the beginning, because as soon as he said that, that gave me the courage to do it, because now my parents were behind me,
Yes.
whereas before I felt like I was completely on my own. And it was very weird because I was not living in my hometown. So I was away from my family. So I spent 10 years living away from my family. And I remember when I made the decision to leave, it was the most heart-wrenching decision of my life, because it's not what I wanted. Part of me I just wanted things to be sorted more for the children than anything else. But I was like, I just want things to get better. I just want things to get better. And they never did. And I still remember having all of my stuff packed and in the hallway for an entire month before I left. And we were not even on speaking terms then.
Ugh.
And, it was that horrible feeling that every time, anytime I was just waiting for him to say, "Arfa, let's talk. Arfa, don't go. Arfa, stop." No, none of that happened. And I thought, my worth is okay, fine. I know my confidence is just completely through the floor right now, but I have that much self-respect that if I'm not wanted somewhere, I'm not going to stay. Right. Yeah. And then it became a matter of, I've got to do what's right for me and my kids, because I felt like being in a toxic environment, that's not healthy for anyone.
But I'm sure that took you a while to get to that point.
Oh gosh, yeah, total breaking point. It was, to say that I was like completely broken would have been an understatement. I thought I was in a million pieces.
It's a very hard time in life, and I realize that too, because you know that you're not happy, and then that you have these feelings inside that we just try to cover them up, right? Because we just feel it's not the right thing, or it's not good for our children, we keep telling ourselves.
I think also there was definitely some fear there that oh God, this was like my fault, I shouldn't have done it. And I think there was a lot of there was shame there as well, that if oh God, I'm going to have this divorcee label on my head, and how's my family going to deal with it? But that's why the second my father said, I was like, yes, okay, I finally got the permission to do it, right? But he would have supported me no matter what, and he actually said to me, "I don't understand why you didn't do this sooner." And I was like, because you never said anything sooner. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of it as well was me feeling embarrassed of the fact that I didn't have anything else to fall back on, and it was that worry that, what if I completely mess this up? What if I leave and it's worse? Because one of the things, and I don't want to put any, I don't want to blame anyone or point any fingers at anyone, but I was told repeatedly for the time that I was married that no one else will put up with you, no one else will have you, no one else is going to be as kind to you, blah, 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 blah. And of course it was, none of it was true. None of that was true. You have to first be happy within yourself. You can't make other people happy if you're unhappy yourself.
Very true point. And that's a very big golden nugget, because we're all waiting for, not we are all, but a lot of times we wait for somebody else to tell us that we're good enough, or that, we are going to make it, instead of us knowing within ourselves that we have what we can do. But so you were already a bit of a writer before all of this started.
Yeah, I was. I got published. So I had a couple of, I had a short story published in a book, and then I had a poem published in a book as well. I'd had some stuff published in a magazine, so little bits and bats. To be honest, I mean, when I was a kid, I was always the one, like I used to, the kids used to like make fun of me and call me teacher's pet, but I was always one of the ones who used to do really well in writing assignments, and I would like, when I left high school, I got an A in my English literature. I was really good. I was a total bookworm. I've always been a bookworm. And the funniest thing was, is like when I was a kid, my mum had this habit where every Saturday, without fail, she would take me and my siblings to the local library, and we would literally browse the books for hours. Like, and my mum never once rushed us. She never once said, like, we have to go. No, take your time. Just pick up something that you're going to enjoy reading, and then literally it was a lifelong, she started a lifelong love of learning in me. And every night without fail, I would be like fast asleep. My mum would come in my room and she would have to like remove the book from her hand. I would literally be like conked out with like with a book right on top of me, kind of thing. And I absolutely thrived when it came to like writing. That was the one thing that I did really well at, so it kind of made sense for me to do something that I really love.
Well, and never mind, are you incredible with what you do, and also that you have now some really top level influencers that you write for. You also have now published your own book.
I have.
Yay.
For anybody who is looking to learn about the customer journey, part of, especially, well, if you're advertising in any way, you have to learn how to write. But yeah, especially when it comes to the online business, and anybody who's looking that they want to really understand the journey and the minds of your, what we call an avatar, this is the book that you pick up, because Arfa takes you through the entire journey and explains it to you. So tell us a little bit more about, not what I'm saying, but about your book, because I think it's an incredible, easy read on top of it. So, which I love about it. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, when I got started with the book, like, you're gonna laugh now when I say this, but I knew that this is what I wanted to do, like, for the longest time. And actually, my mum said, it's my dream to see your name in print. Like, she wanted me to write a book, right? Like, for the longest time, she was like, I want to see you have written a book. And I never told my mum that that's what I was doing, and I was working on it in the background. And now here gets the funny part. I wrote 120 pages of it, and then I stopped writing. And the book is about 300 and something pages, right? So I wrote less than half the book, and I stopped because I thought it was rubbish. And I was like, no, I don't think I'm any good at this writing thing. Is that imposter syndrome kicking in? And I just left it to one side. And then what happened was I got myself a coach, a marketing coach. Is Michael Lassen. He used to work with like Dan Kennedy. Sorry. So Dan Kennedy and John Carlton. So he's like really well known in those circles. And so he mentored me and said to me, send me everything that you have. I'm just really curious, right? I really want to see what you've got. I was like, everything? And he went, everything, whatever you got, just send it to me. I'm going to read it. So I sent him pretty much everything. I had a whole bunch of stuff that I sent to him, including the 120 pages that I'd written. And then he got on a call with me and he went, Arfa, where is the rest of this? And I went, it doesn't exist. And he went, why not? And I went, I didn't think it was any good. And he went, are you kidding me? He goes, this is absolutely, absolutely brilliant. He goes, where on earth is the rest of it? You better write the rest of it. So he was like, he's the one that kickstarted the idea for me to pick the book up again and write it. But the problem was I kind of got stuck, right? Like, you can't see. It's like the best way to describe it is like, it's all in your head, but you don't know how to get it out, right? Like, I have the knowledge, right? You don't know how to get it out, right? And so then I was like, okay, I think it's about time I got myself a publishing consultant to help me get the rest of the book out. So I hired a publishing consultant, Right Business Results, absolutely amazing. And they basically took me through their process. They have like a 5-step process that they take clients through. And it took 3 separate 1-hour calls to pull the rest of the book out of me. And then it was like, now you've got the plan, go away and write it, you know? And then I was giving all of my stuff to the team, and they, oh my God, they were so excited. They were like, Arfa, we've read your manuscript. Like normally books have to go through probably around 5 or 6 edits. I think mine only went round 2 round of edits.
Wow.
That's it. And they were like, this book, like, we've so enjoyed working on your book. It's been just amazing to read this. And we think it's going to do really well. And then there was the whole thing around getting this to bestseller. And thankfully, I have got some amazing friends, you included. And I basically started pushing it out to all the networks. And on December the 8th, I still remember, 2021, I basically hit bestseller in 4 separate categories. So I hit #1 bestseller in 4 separate categories. And I actually beat Alex Hormozy, Seth Godin, and Donald Miller as well. It was insane. It was only for a day.
Wow.
It was only for a day, but I was like, I'll take it. I'll screenshot
you absolutely
I'll take it. Yeah.
That was a good day though, wasn't it?
It was an amazing day. It was an amazing day. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I got to #1. And then I got a hard copy of the book and gifted it to my mom. Oh my God, my mom started crying.
Oh.
She's like, I'm so proud of you. You have no idea how proud of you. My parents are like my biggest champions. They're always championing me, which is just amazing. Yeah.
And that's really, as a parent myself, that's so important because, it shows you. I don't have parents anymore left, but, I see, when I tell my kids I'm proud of them or something, I can see how the body shifts and changes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how old your child is, it's
the heart just swells with pride, right?
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
So, okay. So now that you've gotten your book and you've gotten into bestsellers, and never mind, did you just get it in bestsellers, and now you're getting more and more high level, clients that you've been working with.
Yes.
You're building yourself into just incredible levels.
Well,
how are you moving people forward like this?
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because I think along the journey, I've learned so much along the journey. And I do feel that it's about stepping into a new identity. I mean, this is part of what you do, right? Like you do the whole reinvention thing, because I do believe fundamentally this is something that you do have to do. You have to reinvent yourself. You absolutely cannot succeed if you stay where you are. If you assume the same identity, if I had the same identity of what I was when I first left my now ex, I would never have been able to achieve what I've been able to achieve today, because my level of thinking would never have shifted, and sometimes you need a coach to be able to pull the best out of you and to show you where you're going wrong and to basically shine a light on where your strengths are so you can continue to develop those, but then also to show you where you need to develop and where you need work. The one thing that that I've had to work really hard on, and I feel like it's going to be kind of like one of those things that is always kind of be in the works, is the whole confidence thing. I've definitely gotten a lot better at it over time, but at one point I didn't even have my photo on social. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. I actually had it's so funny. I actually had a picture of Einstein on my as my profile picture. And then my coach was like, no, you have to take that off and put your own photo. And I was like, oh, I have to put my own face on there. No, I was like so terrified of that. Right. But what's the worst thing that can happen? You're going to do all right.
It's sad that we do that to ourselves. All we keep them thinking is the negative, right?
Yeah.
But why can't we start thinking of what if it really does work? What if it really does fly?
Well, do you know what's really interesting about what you just said? I actually wrote down some goals a few years prior to me getting bestseller. And in it, part of my goal setting was, I'm going to write a best-selling book. But to realize that vision, I had to basically get out of my own way, which I know sounds like really crazy, but right now I have multiple coaches, I actually I have 3 coaches right now.
Wow.
Because I understand the value of the coaching, right? Because they are going to see what I can't see, and I've got coaches for different things, right? So it's essentially to become that next level version of you. Sometimes there is just no way you can do it on your own. sometimes you need the help of a coach. You do need to have that, right? That's why they need you, Glenda. That's exactly what it is, right? That's
Well,
why
the whole thing is sometimes we knock ourselves down, and it's
yeah,
that coach that can shine the light. And we get real.
yeah,
The part of it is like, yeah, there are some negative things that we
yeah,
need to shift, because if we hang on to those negative energies, those negative habits,
yeah,
they're only going to bring you down. They're not going to bring you up and move you.
yeah.
But right? So, and sometimes we have problems with really getting honest with ourselves. Like,
Oh
but I
yeah,
also mean honest, not on a negative even form.
yeah.
Why can't we get honest about of where we've come from, that we've made it through?
You know,
Absolutely.
I love what you said, because like for the longest time I was so scared to share my story. It was like, oh God, I can't talk about that. Because I was worried I was going to upset people. I was worried I was going to, like have a really hard time with it. I think also as well, like I myself was not ready to share the story. It was so painful for me to talk about it. Like in the beginning, when I used to talk about it, I just end up in tears. I'm like, I can't talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. Like, I'm not doing it. But you have to go through a process of healing as well, I think, definitely, right? And you have to learn to forgive yourself for the things that kind of didn't work out or didn't happen the way you wanted. But I also do believe that in order for you to get to that next level in life, you do have to have a level of self-awareness. Like people do not change until they have that level of awareness that they need to. you
I
know there's nothing worse than dealing with somebody who's stuck in their ways, doesn't want to change, doesn't want to grow, like forget personal growth. It's what
Well,
the heck
that's a
are you doing?
closed-minded person.
Very close-minded, and I try and keep away from people like that. And one of the things that I actually did, and actually I think this is like a really good practice that everyone should have, just get rid of all the negative people in your life.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I mean, at one point I was told to go get a job. Like, wouldn't it be like, don't you think you should go get yourself a proper job? But if I listened to them, I wouldn't be where I am now.
No,
And that's
absolutely.
the thing. Yeah, you have to be, I think a lot of it is like you do have to have a lot of humility and knowing that you don't have all the answers as well, and that actually you need help. And I think the biggest shifts for me personally, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but I do think that this helps. I think the biggest shifts for me came personally when I made an emotional connection between where I am now and where I want to be. Because everyone has dreams, right? Everyone's like, oh, I wish I could do this. But actually, I don't do that anymore. I'm like, I don't say, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. Sometimes I might catch myself saying it, right? But now I'm like, no, let's plan. Like, what does that look like? What's the goal? And how are we going to make it happen, and reverse engineer that plan? So that's what I do now, And I also understand that the change is on me. I can't expect other people to come and change me. I have to be willing to do the hard work. And far from the finished article, I think the greatest level of work you'll ever do is on yourself.
Amen. I totally agree with that. And you have to be ready. You have to be open-minded. You have to look around and look in that mirror and talk to yourself and say, enough's enough. Let's do this. Let's get real. And it's up to you. No one else can do it for you.
That what you just said there, that no one else can do it for you. I think part of me right at the beginning was hoping that, I'd literally wake up one day and suddenly my life would change. And then I realized, I thought, well, that's not going to happen. I have to do it myself. And that was really painful, right? Like change is painful, but oh my God, is it worth it? It is so worth it when you go through it.
I know when you sit here, as I do right now, even just doing this show and looking back 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have never thought I could do this. And when Glenda and I talked about it, the first one, I was like, oh my gosh, butterfly, scared. It's like, what if you freeze? It's like, but what if you do okay?
Yeah.
And we've been doing this for what, 6-7 months now?
We're getting close to a year now.
Is it? I mean, you just have to step over that line of fear to know it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You've got this. And then it really frees you up to look around and analyze, what else can I do if I can do this? And doors just start to open. You start seeing 100%. Things from real eyes, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to try that. I want to try that. You're like a kid. So
I love it.
So it's just like what we were just saying, of you being scared and being in your comfort zone. It's really hard to venture out when you're by yourself.
Yeah,
You can have
totally.
friends and all the rest of it, but having actually really a coach or a mentor of somebody who is there that's saying, okay, I know you got this. There's
Yeah.
something about that really helps to move you forward. Like I didn't get my first mentor was actually Shakir. And
Oh, amazing.
I don't know, I saw him somewhere, and we're going to bring him on the show one day, but I
Yeah.
saw him in an article, and I started reading up on him, and I just said to myself, and I had never had a mentor. I had, other people that have kind of, but not to that level.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, you know what? I know this guy's going to be something. He was
Yeah.
just the beginning of his whole journey.
Yeah.
And when I saw him, I just said, you know what? And he was a kid. He was
Yeah.
under 30 years old. And I said, I don't know. I just knew that this kid's going to be something, and I'm going to be there.
Yeah, he's pretty
And,
amazing. He's pretty amazing.
yeah. So you got to push yourself, and it wasn't comfortable to go out. So that what you're saying right then and there is, you have to learn that you have to invest in yourself.
Because, oh my God, yes. Right? 1,000,000% yes, definitely.
You don't make it up to the numbers where you are now and where you are when you're on your own little merry way. There are a lot of hardworking souls who have gone wonderful, but it really, what it does is it stops, instead of going through all those other hurdles, having a mentor or coach helps you get past those hurdles a lot faster.
Well, I love what you said, right? And I think more importantly, I think what people need to understand is you have to, like, if you want to have success, then you have to be willing to do the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Right. But then it's not hard stuff for the sake of doing hard stuff. You need someone to help you, because like success leaves clues, right? Tony Robbins said that, right? He says it all the time. Like find someone who's been there, done that, and is able to guide you through the process, because that's going to slash your learning curve, like literally down so much. I mean, if I look at when did my business like really explode, when I started getting coaches, that's when my business really took off. Right. And one of my mentors said to me that, if your business is not growing, it's because you yourself are not growing. And I was like, oh,
ooh.
I was like, oh,
that's a wow moment right there.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, that was so powerful. And I remember writing that down. And I remember thinking to myself, that is right there is the key to success, because people want the success without having to do the hard work.
That's right.
And I will like, even a few days ago, I was like at my parents' and I was like, okay, I have to go now. And my dad was like, sweetheart, just stay for a bit. Why do you stay the night? You haven't stayed over in the longest time. I was like, Dad, I'm so sorry. I've got things to do. I need to get them done. My sister was sat there and she was like, Dad, you know what? She's really disciplined. When it comes to doing her work, she's very disciplined. And my dad was like, I know she's disciplined, but she also needs to have permission to have a night off, but the thing is, though, I had to build that discipline, right? And it's true. Like sometimes I do need permission to relax, right? But I think like any entrepreneur, if you are serious about growing your business and you're serious about making an impact, for me, that's very important. I want to do a lot of philanthropic works. It's very much in alignment with what I love and what I want to do and what I want to achieve. I myself have to be at that level of success that I can help other people. You have to first help yourself before you can help others, and I think that's the kindest thing that you can do is get yourself the help that you need to be able to do that.
But I agree with that. However, and there is a however, because I tend to do the same thing as I work too much. But what I find, and it's funny because I just heard a study where they showed that if you start to add some more actually enjoyment time into your life, and you will actually get further in your working when you work, because you have more enjoyment. So you actually add more life to yourself when you do it.
Yeah, that's hard. That I have to say has been for me the hardest part of doing the whole thing, doing the whole entrepreneur thing. But I do get out every single day. Like today, I was out for a good 45 minutes. I have a park literally at the end of my road, and I know it's like sounds like such a silly little thing, but I was counting all the wildlife, and I spotted 2 new birds, and I was so excited to see them. I was like, and it's like being mindful and being present and in the moment, but it's a daily habit of mine, because I know that I need to de-stress and I need to get myself out there, and I need
You
to
need to move.
I need to move. I need to get fresh air. And yeah, it's honestly, it's been life-changing. It really has been life-changing.
And I know because you've had, we talked about this earlier, you've had back problems. And, when we sit too long and we don't move, like I fell off I fell, period. And I hurt myself. And, part of my getting back into my life again, because, my life fell apart, was to first of all to get to be able to walk again. And it all started from even being able to, now it sounds ridiculous, but being able to even walk to the washroom I couldn't do. I was in crutches, but to walk to my front door without having a crutches or a cane and all of that, and to be out every day, like now, this is part of, if we don't look after our bodies, this temple that we've been given, and that means watching, going out and walking and whatever you want to do, but some form of movement, you're going to hurt your body, which you're not going to end up having a balanced life, or life is never totally balanced, but I'm meaning a fuller life, because you're not going to live long enough.
Well, the whole thing with the whole back thing, for me, that's like, I completely get it. Because a couple of years back, so this is while I was writing my book, actually. So January 2021, I ruptured 2 discs in my lower back, and it was so bad that I could not walk for more than 90 seconds. I couldn't stand. My kids would like hear me in the shower, literally bawling my eyes out, like a grown woman bawling my eyes out, because I couldn't stand in the shower, and they'd be like banging on the door, "Mom, are you okay? Mom, are you okay?" kind of thing. And I remember because my sister literally lives 60 seconds from my house, and I couldn't even get to her house. It was literally like hunched over like an old woman. And I was in excruciating pain. And every day I was like, when is this pain gonna go away? And the only way that I was comfortable was lying down. I could sit for very short periods of time. And I remember like the level of pain, I think if there was 10 levels of pain, I felt like I was at a level 15. It was horrendous, and then the doctor basically said to me, "You need urgent surgery, you're at risk of paralysis, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, I'm not going through no surgery. I'm not doing it. I'm just not going to do it. So I found myself a really amazing chiropractor. And for 3 times a week, I was going to visit the chiropractor, and she got me walking again, and it took 9 months for me to properly learn how to walk again, and now, like when I so when you were talking right at the beginning how I went on holiday with my son, I actually went to Saudi for the pilgrimage. So it's a Muslim, it's an amazing ritual that we do. It's like a purification and forgiveness of sins. And so I went with my son, and on one day I walked 9 miles. So my Fitbit tracked 9 miles that I did walking. At one point, couldn't even walk 90 seconds, but I had to build myself up to that, right? And so what did I learn from that? That punishing myself, pushing myself, not taking a break, not relaxing, not doing the things that I know keeps my body healthy is the most destructive thing that you can do. Yeah. I'm actually an ex-kickboxer. I've got 5 belts in Chinese kickboxing, right?
Wow.
So yeah. Yes, I used to be a real ninja when I was seriously, I'm not kidding, right? And I remember my instructor actually said to me, she goes, "You're actually the toughest girl in the class." Like, I was not a black belt. I got to blue belt. I remember, but she said, like, "You've got a killer left hook." And I was so active, and I was like that right up until the point when I had my children, and then like staying at home, and then just life got in the way. Yeah. And slowly but surely, all the things that I used to do to take care of myself, I stopped doing. And then when I left my husband, I was in survival mode. And so survival mode became glued to the laptop all day long.
Yeah.
Not moving, just sat in one place for literally sometimes 16 hours a day. I'm not even kidding when I say that, right?
Yeah.
Like crazy levels of time spent in a chair. And I regret that so much. And now, like, no matter what happens, I make it a point to move my body every 90 minutes or so. I get up, I walk, I will go up and down the stairs. Before, like, I was like taking a break in between I had quite a bit of work on today, and I was like doing squats, and then I was like, right, get my boots on, and it's like, I know it was going to rain, and I was like, I didn't care. And I was just like, I even walk in the rain, so I'll just put my waterproofs on, and I will just get outside, and I will just move, and in the process, like I've lost like 35 pounds as well, which has been insane, so
Congratulations.
but the thing is that it's like that had to come from what? From extreme pain. So in your life, you're going to do things that either move you towards pleasure or take you away from pain. But emotionally, there has to be a connection there between where you are now and where you want to be. And I was like, I don't want to be in pain anymore, And so that almost like kickstarted version 2.0 of myself, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, because in our life, how do we change? Because we got to get out of that pain and move into the pleasure. We dream of the pleasure, but we're living in that pain. And how do you move forward? That's part of when you get to the point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Yeah, I was totally sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I'm sick and tired of being in pain. I don't want that for myself anymore. And it was not fair on my kids to have to see me like that either. Like I'm supposed to be like, the rock of the family. And what was really hard for my kids was them seeing me in pain was not very nice. It was hard on them.
Well, but it's not even that point. It's what you teach your children well, because I've seen all through my years of being basically, I've been a single mom all my life. And I've seen that your kids watch you more than you realize.
Oh, of course they do. Yeah, definitely.
With everything. So if you start abusing your body and not moving, and they think that that's the norm,
and they think it's okay. Yeah, they totally think it's okay to do that,
So we don't teach them anything. When I remember through the years of exercising, when my son would never do it, he would go, oh, Mom. And then finally, at one point, he actually started getting on a diet and doing really great. And we started exercising together. Yeah, and it was a huge thing for both of us. Like, I was so excited that I finally got him into it. But it changed, and it changed his entire life and his outlook. And that's what we need to do, is realize that we have more, people are watching us, even, whether it's being live on here or being out on socials or just being out on the street. Somebody's always watching you.
Yeah, and 100%.
And it's not about them.
No.
But it's about coming up and being your best self.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Because you don't want to be in a situation where people think, oh, poor thing, look at her. She's got all this success, but look at the state of her. I don't want people saying that about me. And believe you me, they were saying things like that about me. So, it was not very nice. I mean, I remember going out with the first time when I was walking. I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't even get to the end of the road. I couldn't even get to my sister's house, let alone, because the park is literally at the end of my road. And so for me, my coach at the time said to me, Arfa, you have to take it in baby steps. But if you do not start, you're going to get worse. And that, oh my God, I was so scared. I was like, I don't want to be worse than what I am now. Like, I really don't want to be worse than what I am now. So he challenged me, just get yourself to the gate. And I actually said to him, how the heck am I going to get back? Am I getting myself to the gate? How am I going to get back? And he goes, no, just get yourself to the gate. Just worry about that, when you get to that point. And so then it was like, get myself to the gate. Then he challenged me to get to the first bench. Then I started bench hopping, and then eventually, slowly but surely, started walking, and like, it has to start with baby steps.
With everything in life.
Painful when I started, but I'm telling you, it was absolutely worth it. Like, the pain of staying stuck, you got to think, is it more painful where I am now? Or if I get out of this mess, I know it's going to be painful while I get going, but to eventually get out on the other side, that's worth it. right? So you have to have the end goal in mind. And I do believe that you do have to have an ulterior reason why. You know, for me, it's my children, definitely. You know, they really inspire me all the time, you know. So like everyone's going to have days when they don't want to get out of bed, they don't want to do anything, they don't want to move, they don't want to do nothing, right? And so you have to find ways to motivate yourself and get yourself out of your own head. Like, what's your deeper reason why you're doing it?
Absolutely. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but crazy enough, we have already getting to the end of our time here, and
How did that happen?
we could keep going on because because we do learn so much from our journeys. And a couple of things. First of all, can you tell people if they want to start learning a little bit more about writing and how to move forward, how they can find you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, you can absolutely go check me out on social. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I have my own Facebook group. But the book is a really fantastic place to start if you're interested in marketing and putting your name out there, growing your business, that kind of thing. That is definitely I would say probably the best way to get a hold of me is through social.
Perfect. And we do have below the video, we do have her links there so that you can connect on to getting in with Arfa. And also, people, are looking at all different ways in their lives and moving forward, and whether it's a business that they're trying to create or what little golden nuggets can you give to somebody who's sort of venturing out in their life, or even if it's to do with marketing, whatever. What can you tell us?
I think you have to have a plan, and then you have to sense check the plan with a coach. It's as simple as that, because you don't know what you don't know. I mean, I had to learn that the hard way, right? Like when you first get started, you'll be excited and you think you've got all the answers, but the truth of the matter is you don't. Let's just call a spade a spade. Nobody has all the answers, and this is why even the world's top people, they all have coaches, and many of them have multiple coaches for that reason. So I would always say that if you really want to take yourself, whether that be in your business, whether that be in your personal relationships, whether it's like something that you're working towards, like an actual goal that you're working towards, having the accountability of a coach that can call you out on your BS is the biggest blessing ever. And I highly recommend that. So there's like, if you want to fast track your growth, a coach is the way to go. Definitely. 100%.
Beautiful. And Nicole, would you do you have any wise words that you would like to share with us today?
You know what? I'm going to give the wise words back to you, Glenda, and back to you, Arfa, because what I picked up from this conversation today is probably very pivotal in how I'm going to go forward with something. And that is, I've got arthritis in a hip and it's very, very painful. And I haven't been very motivated here like I was in Arizona. I was going to 5 days of yoga. I was walking. I was really doing a lot for my health, which includes eating correctly. Yeah. And it's really difficult here in South Carolina. The food is really different than it is in Arizona. And like today, I've had a headache all day because I didn't eat properly. But you guys are talking about, Arfa, you couldn't even stand up in the shower. Nope. Glenda, you had to walk with a cane. So I'm listening to all this and I'm thinking, you know what? I have to listen to these two because they're giving me the golden nuggets today. And so we're going to have another conversation in a couple months about how we all healed ourselves the correct way with exercise, with diet, with mentality. So thank you to both of you today for picking me up and lifting me up and helping to open my eyes to see that I too can do this.
Amazing. I love it.
And I'm getting goosebumps. It all starts with one thing about ourselves. It really, truly is about we deserve to love ourselves. Yeah. And if you can't love yourself, then please, part of why we do this program is to help to inspire you and to lift you. But reach out. The three of us are here to help. And Nicole, had I even known that you're going through this, my doll, I would be, I'm there for you. It's all about, I lived through last year months that I couldn't stand on my own 2 feet.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's really hard when the world is knocked out underneath you, and we take for granted every day when we get up onto our feet that we have 2 feet to use. And until that day comes, and it only takes a split second for something to knock us out, it really is important. So if you are watching this, or if you know somebody that you should be passing this on to, there's a lot of life lessons on this today's talk. It starts with loving yourself. When we can't do something, even if our children want us, we have to learn, if we can't do it physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, we got to learn to say no. It doesn't mean no. It means maybe no, not right now. But we need to do that, because it all starts with the oxygen mask on yourself first before we can do for others.
Yeah, 100%.
Beautiful, Glenda.
Absolutely love what you said there. Absolutely love it. Because I feel that that's one thing that I think, especially women, I mean, I'm sure men go through that as well, but I know a lot of women who, especially if they're single parents, is like everything on the line for their kids, but they put themselves, they're like literally last on their own to-do list. And that's not helpful to anyone. It's like kicking the can further down the road. You're just storing up problems for later on.
It's true. So Arfa, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us today, for shedding some beautiful light, because I always see you as the beautiful light, because you just always beam. And I adore you, and I thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you'll come on and shed some more wisdom.
Oh, I'd love to. Glenda, you know I absolutely love you to bits. I would absolutely. It's been an absolute blast. I've loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
So thank you very much. Enjoy your day. I know you're coming in from England, so it's ready for you to actually call it a night soon, and just keep on loving yourself and keep on looking after yourself. And I'm so proud of that you have now walking and lost lots of weight and feeling good. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. Love it.
So thank you, everybody, for watching us today. And remember, if there's somebody who needs to hear these messages, please share us, give us a little love, and tell us, what did you learn by all of this? Thank you very much, everybody. Bye for now.
Thanks so much, everyone.